Hello, welcome to my channel. In this video, I will demonstrate how I went from a brand new garden studio and in 3 days had a fully stocked kitchen harvest garden. Yes. So with the introduction of the Gardyn Studio, it was the perfect time for me to dip my fingers into vertical gardening. You see, I've been hydroponic gardening for over 10, 15, well, over 20 years. I used to teach hydroponic gardening. I'm a retired school teacher, and I've relocated in my retirement to a 2-bedroom apartment. So I downsized from a big house and big gardens to an apartment without a balcony. So my focus and my passion has been on hydroponic gardening, just like I used to teach my students. So my main source of hydroponic gardens have been my AeroGardens. I've had AeroGardens for close to over 10 years, and I've been growing tomatoes and peppers, strawberries, all types of herbs, spices, and leafy greens. And I'll give you a tour of that in a different video. But in this video, I'm going to show you how I took the excess plants, the seedlings that I did not destroy, but put them in all the AeroGarden pods. I took some of those seedlings, actually mature plants, and planted them in my garden. So I was motivated to get a garden because of its vertical nature. I wanted to plant up in order to maximize my space. And with the introduction of the Gardyn Studio, I thought it would be a nice way to get started. And in addition, it would fit perfectly in my hydroponic kitchen garden. Now, my hydroponic kitchen garden is where I can grab the leafy vegetables, the herbs, everything that I need to cook with without having to go to my hydroponic farm right there in my kitchen. So the Gardyn Studio was going to fit perfectly right in the space where I needed it to be. So I decided to take mature plants from my AeroGarden farm, which has several AeroGardens, and bring them to my kitchen garden, my hydroponic kitchen garden. So in order to take a mature plant or seedling, or in order to take any plant from an AeroGarden to a garden, you'll need a few things. One of the things you'll need is you'll need a net cup, and this is a 2-inch net cup. And what you will do is you will need to cut the bottom out of the net cup. And you can do that with a pair of scissors. It's very soft plastic. So I'm demonstrating in the video how you can cut the bottom out of the net cup. So it's that easy. Easy to cut the bottom out of the net cup. Next, you will take your AeroGarden pod, which will have your mature plant in it or whatever plant you want to put in your garden, and you will put it down into, you'll put it into the net cup, just like that. And the net cup then fits right into the garden, and this is the receptacle which is in the garden. And that, it not only does it fit there, it creates a nice barrier from the light so that you don't get a lot of algae. So I really like the design because right in here in this cup there is water. I don't know if you can see the water, but there is water. So the roots of the plant, which are here, will be submerged in the water. Okay? And basically, then you'll just put it in your garden and you are ready to go. So in the video, the first thing I did was fill the garden with 3 gallons of water. It holds 4 gallons, but I filled it with 3 gallons of water as I was instructed to do to get started with the garden. And then I gathered my plants. Some of them were in mason jars. They had already been transferred to they started in an AeroGarden, probably a seed starting kit or an AeroGarden harvest that I had. And they were crowded. So I transferred them to a cracky, which is basically a mason jar that is fitted with a special top for the AeroGarden. So that just fits in like this. Ah. It does fit. There you go. And then you can just put your water, nutrients, and you have a permanent or temporary home for your plants, your extra seedlings or extra plants that you have. So some of them had already been transferred to the mason jars, and the others were waiting to be transferred. So those I collected in a little bucket. As you see me doing with the watermelon plants. So basically what I had 3 cherry tomato plants, which were in an AeroGarden harvest. And a harvest is a small unit, so 3 plants was a bit much. Plus, I knew I was going to go away from them for a few weeks, and I didn't want them to go dry. So I transferred the 3 cherry tomato plants. I had 3 bell pepper plants, but only 2 of them fit well within the garden unit, and 6 sugar baby watermelon plants. And then around those plants, I would put my plants that I harvest regularly, like my kale, my cilantro, my herbs, and so forth. So that's what I did. Here is the final garden results. So I'm pointing to the cilantro. This is mustard greens in the same pot with some kale. And this is the bell pepper plant. It hasn't flowered yet. And you can see I tied it up into position. I tied all the plants into position with the exception of the tomatoes here. They were pretty bushy. And I have lettuce as well as more kale. And towards the bottom is where I put the watermelon plants. Very beautiful. It fits perfectly in my indoor hydroponic kitchen. So if you're interested in indoor hydroponic gardening, subscribe and join me on the next video. Bye for now.